Good morning. This is Dave Hauswirth, and today we're going to talk about the qualities of character, specifically on communication. Our agenda will include a communication definition, an exercise in communication, a video with Hans and Abby, communication types, communication styles, and how coaching and communication must go together. Webster's defines communication as information exchange between individuals through a common system. This can be either verbally, written, or through sight. Coaches have to understand that communication is a two-way street, and feedback is what completes the message. When a sender sends a message to a receiver, if there's no feedback, the sender cannot be guaranteed that the message was received. Let's do a short exercise to show this. I want you to close your eyes, think of nothing for 15 seconds. I will then say a word. Just tell me what you saw. Ready? Go ahead and close your eyes. Think of nothing for 15 seconds. Tree. What came to mind? What did you see? Palm trees? Banana trees? Maybe a tiny bonsai tree? Maybe a giant redwood? What about trees on a lake? A family tree? Each of these are trees, so if the sender asks for a tree and the receiver brings one of these and it's not what the sender wanted, whose fault is it? Let's watch a short video of Young Frankenstein, which features Hans and Abby. Young Frankenstein, the doctor is trying to create, using the brain of Hans Delbrück, a German intellect from the late 1800s. He asks his assistant Igor to retrieve the brain, but unfortunately Igor tries his best but can't find Hans Delbrück's brain. He can only find Abby's brain. Let's watch the video and see what's in a name.
Now, that brain that you gave me, was it Hans Delbrück's? No. Good. Would you mind telling me whose brain I did put in? And you won't be angry? I will not be angry. Abby someone. Abby someone. Abby who? Abby Normal. Abby Normal. I'm almost sure that was the name. Are you saying that I put an abnormal brain into a 7.5-foot long, 54-inch wide gorilla? Is that what you're telling?
You can see that Igor and the doctor are not on the same page. Let's discuss two types and three styles of communication. Two types of communication include verbal and nonverbal. Verbal is the content, the actual message that's trying to be relayed, and the tone, or the actual mood of the sender. More importantly, the nonverbal include the gestures, which include body language, and the emotion of the sender. Rainers Martin says that 70% of communication is nonverbal, so be careful what you show when you speak. The three communication styles include command, which is an aggressive tone. Someone like Woody Hayes from the 1970s, Bobby Knight from the 1980s with the Indiana Hoosiers basketball program. They had intimidating body language. They were in charge. Everyone knew it. There's limited listening by the coach. They know the right way. They grab the hands of everyone behind them and lead them off into the battle. The image on the right shows Woody Hayes striking an opposing player from Clemson during a football game when the football player from Clemson intercepted the ball. Even in the 1970s, this type of behavior wasn't tolerated, was not accepted, and so Woody Hayes lost his job after that. The second style of communication is submissive. This type of communication is the person that tends to agree with everyone else. They speak softly. They qualify verbiage to make sure they don't offend anyone. Is this okay? Can we do it this way? Do you think it's probably okay if we go this direction? This isn't real successful because the leader has not come out of the communication. The third style is a cooperative style, which is straightforward and positive. They're good listeners and they encourage two-way communication. They include coaches, they include players in identifying the mission, the vision, and the goals for the program, for the team, to make sure that they're all on the same page moving forward. John Wooden, I think we can all agree, was a pretty successful coach, and he's quoted as saying, "Listen if you want to be heard." Coaching and communication is integral and must go together. Joe Ehrman, a former Baltimore Colt who became a pastor and now has a following for communication and great teams, says the two must go together. Coaches must provide correction vice criticism and use positive feedback. Now, that does not mean that you can't correct your players. If they do something wrong, you have to be able to communicate that to them, but there's no need to degrade or demean the player. Athletes want to be included. They want to be included in the process. They want to be included in what's going on and setting those mission and visions and goals. And if you can provide positive feedback, you'll have a better chance of getting them to be included. When you're dealing with kids from recreation to the collegiate level, if you're a coach, you have to understand the difference of maturity levels and what goes on with the unspoken word between girls and boys. This image shows two girls simply saying hi to each other, but the unspoken conversation is intense. Girls have any number of topics that they think without speaking about each other. Where boys, on the other hand, if they say hi to each other, that's pretty much it. In our JV program for lacrosse, girls lacrosse, we have typically 30% of our athletes who have not even played the game before. So that's a challenge in itself. We have to work hard to get the communication of what the game is and the rules and our expectations to be conveyed to them. So we start on the very first day of practice with a very simple drill where we line all the athletes on the middle of the field on the yellow line, and we ask them to close their eyes, everybody face the same direction, and take 10 steps downfield. It's interesting for us to watch how basically the team splits 50% that goes upfield, 50% that goes downfield, because they just don't either A, understand the word, or they've been taught something different through a different sport. We want to be able to identify which is the correct method, and by including the girls in the exercise and being positive in what we expect, we start our program off with the right step in understanding that the players have input in our communication, and we want to make sure we're all speaking the same words. Ephesians 4:29 definitely reinforces the importance of positive feedback and how negative feedback is unnecessary if you want to benefit those who want to listen. So in conclusion, we've identified that communication is a two-way street. You have to have feedback to ensure that the sender and the receiver are on the same page. Two types of communication include verbal and nonverbal, with 70% of everything that you say or is written from nonverbal cues. Cooperative style is the most important style, as it's the one that includes listening. If John Wooden can listen, I think the rest of us can as well. With communication and coaching, It's important to include your players and coaches in their input if you want to be successful in your program being a cohesive unit. And most importantly, understand that positive correction works the best. Thank you very much for your time, and have a blessed day.